Joining us now is a candidate, one of two candidates for the Democratic nomination for Lieutenant Governor, State Senator from the Hampton Roads area, Dr. Ralph Northam. Senator, how are you today?
I'm doing well. I appreciate the call. How's everything going?
Well, we're doing fine, although, as with everyone, we're trying to deal with the aftermath of just heart-wrenching massacre at that elementary school in Connecticut.
It's a tremendous tragedy, and, you know, as a pediatrician, I take care of a lot of kids and their families, and I also take care of the hospice children here in Hampton Roads, and I can just tell you, I fortunately haven't experienced the loss of a child, but just having taken care of a lot of families, there's nothing worse than the loss of a child, and it's a tremendous tragedy, and I think we as a society need to take a look at it and see what we can do to keep this from happening.
It just you can't even fathom it, Doctor. The horror of this whole incident and the debate on how to react to it will go on. I'm going to get straight to your race for Lieutenant Governor. Now it'll be decided in a Democratic primary in June. You're kind of been looked upon by many, certainly in the region of Hampton Roads, as a common sense state senator. You're one of four people on the Virginia Common Sense Caucus. And
right.
What is the thing that has inspired your decision to run for Lieutenant Governor of Virginia?
Yes, sir, and I appreciate you bringing that up. The Commonwealth Caucus is John Miller and Senator Vogel and Senator Stewart, and we all got together, two Republicans and two Democrats, and just, you know, like you said, trying to use some moderation to move Virginia in a positive direction. But in the answer to your question, John, I think there are a couple factors, but one of the main things is, you know, my background is in health care, and there's so much uncertainty right now coming from Washington with the Affordable Care Act, and I have some ideas on, you know, how we can address the cost issue, especially with Medicaid and improving on managed care. So, you know, it's a matter of timing. I just thought there was a lot that I could add to maybe turn some of those uncertainties into certainties and put really Virginia in the best posture possible so that we can, you know, provide good health care for all Virginians. So that was probably the main thing that is driving my decision.
Now, Senator, why don't we go straight to Obamacare? Governor McDonnell has made the decision not to participate in the state exchange, basically telling the federal government, hey, you guys are going to have to come in and figure this out. It's not in our best interest right now to have the state involved in it. If you were Lieutenant Governor, would that be your approach?
No, it wouldn't, John. And, you know, I ran last year. I think a lot of Virginians, you know, gave me the message that the less government, the less federal government, the better, that, you know, we can handle a lot of our issues on a state level. And, you know, we worked long hours last year to come up with an exchange, and I think it's a good exchange. Maybe it could be tweaked a little bit, but, you know, I think we're missing an opportunity to do this on a state level. And so, you know, I know the governor has his reasons, and I'm certainly not going to argue with those or take notice against them. But you know, I think we have a good exchange here that we could work with, and I just think we're losing the opportunity to do this on a state level.
Now, if you were to win, as you know, if you took office in January of 2014, the Senate would still be tied 20-20. When the Republicans tied it, and Lieutenant Governor Bill Bolling was still was in a position to make the decision, the Republicans decided they wouldn't do a power share and they would control the chairmans and the committees, somewhat breaking precedent with what happened in a similar time in the 90s when the Democrats decided to share power. If you were to become Lieutenant Governor, would you share power with the Republicans as you had called for when the Republicans decided against doing that last January?
Right. That's a great question. And, one of the things that happened, John, last year is that we did come in with 2020, and when that happened, it started the tone of the Senate to be very contentious, very divisive. A lot of the issues that were brought before the Senate, I don't think they were in the best interest of the Commonwealth. And so, that's a step we'll take if we get there, and I'll certainly talk to the leadership from both sides. But for the first time in many years, they took Senate Democrats off of committees and reshuffled them to their advantage. And again, it got things started in a really bad tone. And so, what I would do, and I have the reputation in Richmond for being a moderate person and for working with both sides of the aisle. And so, when the time comes, I'll sit down with both sides, their leadership, and we'll figure out how to do it so that we can move in a positive direction. But we certainly didn't have a positive tone last year, and that's what led to a lot of these social issues, the transvaginal ultrasound, all the things that I think were an embarrassment for Virginia, and we need to stay away from those.
We're chatting with State Senator Ralph Northam. He's a Democrat from the Tidewater region, and he's a candidate for the Democratic nomination for Lieutenant Governor. That'll be decided in a Democratic primary in June in Virginia. Now, State Senator, let's go to transportation. There's been a lot of debate on how to fund the definite infrastructure transportation improvement the state needs, tolls, gasoline tax. What is your position on getting the transportation improvement that the state needs?
That's a great question, John, and I tell you, if we step back from that question and say, if we want to lure businesses, jobs, et cetera, to Hampton Roads, and really for that matter to the Commonwealth, we need to fix our transportation and infrastructure. And I don't think anybody out there would disagree. Our roads right now are embarrassed. For anybody that's coming to take a look at our state, they're going to look elsewhere. So we desperately need to address that. We need to find a sustainable source of revenue for transportation. And in my opinion, and what I've watched over the last few years, John, folks will come from here and there, legislators, that is, with ideas, and without the consensus of the leadership and the entire General Assembly, they essentially get tabled. So, back in 1986, then Governor Baliles formed a commission on transportation. They talked about what our needs were and how we would address them, and I think that's exactly what we need to do now. We need to sit our leadership down, say, look, we've got a problem that we need to take care of. What is it going to cost, and then how is the best way to address that, and do that as a consensus, and then take that to the rest of the Commonwealth and the legislators and just go from there. But until we do that, I think we're just spinning our wheels. And, like I just said, we haven't addressed transportation in a meaningful way since 1986, and we as leaders need to do better.
Would you favor a gasoline tax?
I would favor sitting down and saying what are our needs and how can we best address them. And the thing about it is, John, it's going to take some source of revenue. It's not going to drop out of the sky. So we are far behind in funding, and so some difficult decisions are going to be made. But those decisions, again, they need to be made with a commission, not just one person rolling into Richmond and say, this is what I'd like to do. It starts at the top, and that's what our leadership needs to do.
Senator, on December 3rd, when you made your announcement of your candidacy, you made a statement that said Republicans, and I'm quoting you, Republicans used their majority to launch an all-out assault on women, working families, and the LGBT community. Can you tell me exactly what facts you have to support that statement, and what rights does the LGBT community need to have that they don't already enjoy here in the Commonwealth?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I think people just need to look back at what bills were presented in the General Assembly last year, starting with the transvaginal ultrasound. For the first time in history, legislators, mostly males, were telling or mandating to women that they should have invasive procedures against their will. At the same time, they were requiring doctors to order tests that weren't medically indicated against their better judgment. So that is not a place for the government, in my opinion. It was embarrassing for Virginia, and we need to move forward. regarding the LGBT issue, there was a very qualified attorney in Richmond who was actually nominated by Republicans to be put on the bench, and because of his sexual orientation was denied that position. So again, we need to move forward in Virginia. Those things are in the past, and they were just inexcusable. And really, when we talk about it, John, when we say we want less government in our lives, let's be consistent and not have a bunch of legislators telling women, telling doctors, telling people behind closed doors what they should be doing. There are many other issues. You talked about transportation, health care, our environment, education. Those are the things that we need to be talking about in Richmond, not social issues.
And, sir, before we let you go on that particular issue, as it goes to the LGBT community, and I know we want to get back to more pressing economic issues, would you be in favor of a state law that recognized civil unions to allow LGBT couples to enjoy the same probate and next of kin and issues that are related to non-traditional relationships?
Yes, sir, I would be.
There you go. John?
Okay, that's one thing you get with State Senator Northam is you get a straight answer. So
and that's what you got to like.
That. You get,
absolutely.
You always get that with the senator. I've covered him for some time and agree with him or not. He's straight up. Now, Lieutenant Governor Bill Bolling on Friday came out surprisingly for some against uranium mining in Virginia. Albeit it's going to cause some jobs, and there's a school of argument that says we need to take advantage of the resources in this state. How do you stand on that?
Yeah, no, that's another good question. That's certainly going to be on the radar screen in Richmond this year. But I've talked to our leadership in Hampton Roads and also people out more in the western part of the state, and certainly talked to a lot of constituents, and I've looked at the reports, and there are just too many risks right now, John, with mining uranium and the tailings that are involved. So I really don't think that Hampton Roads or the Commonwealth has anything to gain from this. Again, I think if there were a misadventure in the mining, then it would set Virginia back for years and years, and so I'm not going to be in favor of lifting the moratorium on uranium mining.
Okay, Senator, final question. You're running in a June primary for the Democratic nomination for Lieutenant Governor. Your chief opponent right now is former President Obama social media technician, so to speak, Anesh Chopra. Could you outline for us very quickly what are the key differentiators on issues between yourself and Chopra?
Right. That's a great question. I appreciate the question. The first is experience. And, the lieutenant governor presides over the Senate. I've been in the Senate for 6 years now. I know how it works. I have great relationships on both sides of the aisle. So, I think I have that advantage to move Virginia forward with good leadership in the Senate. And the biggest issue for me, and as I said earlier in your program, is my experience in health care. We need to move forward and change our healthcare system from a quantity base. In other words, I'm incentivized by how many patients I see today. We need to change that to a more of an outcome or quality-based system. And so I understand healthcare, and I'm in a position to put Virginia in the best posture possible to move forward. So those are the things that I'll be talking about during the campaign. And, I'm excited about this. We put a great team together, and I look forward to a successful year.
Senator, your primary in June is an open primary, and there's no Republican primary on that same day. They're deciding their nominees at a convention in May. Will you be advocating that moderate Republicans show up for your primary in June and perhaps take a look at helping you be the nominee over the much more liberal Anesh Chopra?
Oh, I would welcome anybody that's willing to go to the polls and vote for Ralph Northam. As you know, John, and we've talked in the past, I am a Democrat, but I work with both sides of the aisle. So anybody that's eligible to vote is able to vote in that primary, and I would welcome anybody that would come and support me.
Senator Ralph Northam, we want to thank you for your time today on the John Frederick Show. Senator Northam, a candidate for the Democratic nomination for Lieutenant governor. For those of our audience center that want to learn more about your campaign or get involved, where do they go?
Yes, sir. Thank you, John. They can go to northamforlieutenantgovernor.com, and I hope you and your family and all of your listeners have a safe and healthy holiday season. And thank you for having me on your show this morning.